Welcome in to the Veiled Archive.
We often mistake tradition for comfort. We hang the lights, we light the fire, and we tell ourselves these rituals are for celebration. But if we look at the architecture of our oldest folklore, the pre-Christian roots of the solstice, we find a different truth. The rituals weren't designed to welcome a guest. They were designed to keep something out. Tonight, the Veiled Archive presents an original short story. It takes the most banal, accessible setting imaginable, a family Christmas Eve, and introduces a threat that is ancient, cyclical, and utterly indifferent to human morality. This is the 13th Ornament. The hearth spat sparks against the grate, a frantic crackling heat that felt less like comfort and more like a warning. It was the kind of aggressive cheer required on Christmas Eve in a home trying to ignore the hairline fractures in its foundation. Elias sat in the wingback, nursing a brandy that tasted of burnt sugar and regret. He watched his wife, Sarah, and their 7-year-old daughter, Lily, decorate the spruce. The tree dominated the room, a dark, resinous presence dragging the smell of a frozen forest indoors. "One left, Daddy," Lily squealed. She held up a small silver box, her fingers leaving smudges on the tarnish. "We haven't hung the 13th. Elias paused, the glass halfway to his mouth. "The what?" Sarah turned. Her smile was tight. The skin around her eyes was visibly straining. "The 13th ornament, Eli. You remember. It came with the house, in the attic lockbox. The estate agent said it had to go on last. Tradition." "We have no such tradition," Elias said. The liquor turned sour in his throat. "We do now," Lily chirped. She flipped the latch. Inside lay a bulb that seemed to drink the firelight. It lacked the sheen of glass or the dullness of plastic. It resembled a calcified organ, painted in a red so deep it bordered on necrotic black, bound in veins of gold that pulsed, a wet rhythmic throb. As Lily reached for the highest branch, the air in the room died. The temperature didn't just drop, it vanished. The frost patterns on the window panes screamed inward, forming geometries that hurt to look at, fractals spiraling into impossible, headache-inducing shapes. "Lily, stop!" Elias commanded. He stood, the brandy sloshing over his hand. "It's hungry, Daddy," Lily whispered. She didn't look at him. She stared into the red depth of the bulb. Her eyes, usually a bright hazel, had flattened into black discs. "It's been waiting all year in the dark. It hates the attic." "Sarah, grab her," Elias barked. Sarah stood motionless by the fireplace. Her head was tilted at an impossible angle, her neck vertebrae audibly grinding as she listened to a frequency Elias couldn't hear. Then the sound reached him, a low, wet thrumming from the chimney. The noise of something immense squeezing itself down a narrow, soot-choked throat, wet leather sliding on brick. The fire died instantaneously. No smoke, no embers, just a sudden, suffocating cold. "Varkoul," Sarah said. Her voice sounded like dry leaves skittering on pavement. "He refuses the milk, Eli. He refuses the cookies. He demands the heat. He demands the belief." The Christmas tree began to change. The needles turned rigid, sharp as iron filings. The lights ceased their festive twinkling and began to blink in a code, a complex mathematical sequence, prime numbers. The 13th ornament, now hanging from the tip of a branch, beat louder. Thump, 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 thump. Elias lunged for his daughter, his hand closing around her upper arm. "We're leaving." He pulled. She remained fixed to the floorboards, her weight seemingly increased tenfold, an anchor of flesh and bone. "He's here," Lily said. The chimney exploded, not outward but inward, collapsing into a void of soot and absolute shadow. From the hole emerged a hand. It was too long. The fingers possessed too many joints. It was covered in fur matted with ice and old, dried blood. The thing that crawled into the room made a mockery of the saint. It was the ancient truth that Santa Claus was invented to hide. The entity that demanded tribute during the long night to ensure the sun returned. It pulled itself onto the rug. It was hunched, its spine a ridge of jagged peaks beneath gray, leathery skin. It wore a tattered red coat, but the red was fresh, wet, and smelling of copper. It smelled of ozone and deep, rotting earth. "The pact," the creature rasped. Its voice vibrated in the filings of Elias's teeth. "The 13th gift is given. The pact is renewed." It reached a multi-jointed hand toward Lily. Elias grabbed the heavy iron poker from the cold hearth. "Get away from her!" He swung with desperate force. The iron connected with the creature's arm and shattered. The poker exploded into shrapnel, pinging off the walls. The creature didn't flinch. It turned its head, a goat-like skull with eyes of burning coal, toward Elias. "You misunderstand the holiday," the creature hissed. "You believe it is about receiving. It is about giving. The sun requires fuel. The winter requires a tithe." Sarah stepped forward. Her face was a blank slate, terrifyingly calm. "Take me," she said. The creature laughed, a sound like grinding stones. "The mother is spent fuel. The father is ash. The child is the spark." The 13th ornament glowed brighter, casting long, twisting shadows that detached from the objects they belonged to. The shadows began to circle the room independently, a carousel of darkness. Lily looked at Elias. The blackness in her eyes receded for a second, a brief window of terror. "Daddy, it's cold. It's so cold." Elias looked at the ornament. He realized the truth. It was a seed for the next cycle. He realized the only way to stop the ritual was to destroy the altar. Elias threw himself not at the creature, but at the tree. He tackled the trunk, needles slicing his face, his hands grasping for the pulsing red bulb. The creature shrieked, a sound of cosmic frustration that shattered the windows. Elias's fingers closed around the 13th ornament. It burned. It felt like holding a dying star. He didn't pull it off. He crushed it. He squeezed until the calcified shell cracked. A thick black ichor exploded over his hand, his face, the floor. The thrumming stopped. The creature froze, its form flickering like a bad transmission. "The cycle is broken," the creature whispered, its voice fading into the wind. "The winter will simply never end." The creature dissolved into a cloud of soot and ash, sucked back up the chimney by a violent updraft. The tree withered instantly, turning to gray dust. Elias lay on the floor, gasping, holding his hand. The black ichor burned his skin like acid. Sarah blinked, looking around as if waking from a fugue state. "Eli, what happened? Why is the tree dead?" Lily stood over him. Her eyes were hazel again, but she wasn't looking at him. She was looking out the shattered window. "Daddy," she whispered, "look." Elias pulled himself up and looked out at the night. The snow had stopped falling. The sky was clear, but there were no stars. And the moon was gone. The creature had told the truth. Elias had stopped the sacrifice, but he hadn't saved the world. He had simply turned out the lights. That is the terror of the cosmic perspective. In a standard ghost story, the spirit wants justice or revenge. But in a cosmic horror story, the entity simply wants fuel. If you enjoyed this original story, leave a like and let us know in the comments. Would you have broken the ornament, or would you have let the ritual complete? Until next time, keep the archive open.